leaving your home and how difficult that must be, especially in such a traumatic and violent scenario. And we were involved as well in a fundraiser to bring a family to St. John's that my friend Caroline from CBC put off. And a couple months after they settled into St. John's, we got a card from a little girl in the family and thanking us for our contribution. So that was pretty special and nice to be connected with.
That was one of the, there's a lot of hardship over there and in many parts of the world, and I feel like that story of the refugees coming, I mean, we call it a story, but there's actual real events and people coming, and when you work with the people that have left everything behind, including family, and they still have people over there that they can't go back and see. They have no passports when they get here. It's a really traumatic thing in a lot of ways, and it is when they come, that's when you see the optimism and hope, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for this country, working with people who just saw us in a different way than we sometimes see ourselves. So it's really nice to hear that you were involved in that as well. It's very rewarding in so many ways. Did you find that that very rewarding, giving to that?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. In any way that we can help and lend a voice or lend a hand, we always try and give something back and lend a hand whenever we can. So yeah, that was very, very nice to be involved in, for sure.
Yeah, and it's certainly reflected in the song. And then another song, Steady as She Goes, inspired by the wildfires in Fort Mac, I believe. And did you know people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had family that were directly affected by the fires, as many Newfoundlanders do and did. As we all know, the connections between Alberta and Newfoundland are deep and storied. And so when the fires were happening, we were actually in the studio with Alan Doyle and Tim Baker, who you've interviewed. And we wanted to document what we were seeing on our Twitter feed and in the news. We were watching kind of helplessly from Newfoundland as our families and our loved ones and the people of Fort McMurray were kind of frantically evacuating the city with whatever they could grab, and not sure what they were going to come back to, if anything at all. And we noticed during that time you were hearing these great and courageous stories of the first responders, the EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, doctors, nurses, all really putting their own safety second to helping the people of Fort Mac. And it was an incredible thing to see. It was such a profound juxtaposition to see this dark, kind of uncertain event unfolding, and then seeing this great force of good kind of combating and fighting back against it. And so we wanted to write about that. We wanted to write a song for the first responders to let them know we were behind them, and we wanted to let the people of Fort Mac know that there were people that were thinking about them, and that's where Steady as She Goes was born, out of that idea.
And in the theme of collaboration, you collaborated in that song, is that correct?
Yeah, so we co-wrote it with Alan, as we said, and with Tim. And then when it came time to make the record, well, we thought, let's just get as many of our friends in on this as we can. And so it was a community effort in a lot of ways. Tim co-wrote some songs on the record, as did Alan. We have a friend, Meg Warren, from Grand Falls, who helped with a song as well. And then when it came time to put the music down, we had Kinley Dowling from Hey Rosetta and another friend, Jim Bryson from Ottawa. Good Lovelies, great band, great Canadian singer-songwriter band, and good friends of ours. And yeah, it was just an opportunity to cast a wider net of friends to help us with the record.
One thing I noticed in this province, and I'm sure it's probably true elsewhere as well, but the community of artists seems to be tight knit and interwoven. And how important has that been to your success to have support from people like Tim Baker or Alan Doyle? I mean, Alan Doyle is, seems like I've met him briefly, but seems like a really, really helpful person to have on your team if you're trying to make it in the music industry. How important has that been to you?
I would say it's been absolutely crucial to our development. I don't think that we could have, done all of this by ourselves. It really does take a team of people helping you along and giving you advice, because there's really no beaten path when it comes to a career in music. It's not one size fits all. You kind of do have to make your own path. But with the help of, our team members, our manager, and people like Alan, I would say that Alan has been a mentor to us, and it has made me realize that for any kind of young musicians coming up behind us, if we can impart any advice or any help to them, that we should absolutely do it, because it just helps so much to have guidance from somebody who has experienced what you're going through. And Alan, absolutely has been a mentor. I mean, we've written with him, we've recorded demos with him, had, lots of conversations about, different choices in our career and what we should do next, kind of thing. It's just been really, really crucial to our story to have the advice and guidance of our peers.
And so is some of that deliberate? Do you go looking for people to help, or does it just a lot of it fall into place, or is it just, how does that work? I mean, how did you meet Alan Doyle, for example? Did you go looking for help with something, or is he just one of those guys that will help when he sees that help needs to, be given?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Our friendship with Alan kind of just grew organically because, like you said, especially on the East Coast, the music scene is very tight-knit and very small. So we kind of just became friends with him organically through the music scene and through friends. But at the same time, I think it's important to not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I remember a couple of years ago, actually right before our first record came out, we were kind of in not a tough spot, but we weren't sure of how to properly release the record and make it more of a Canadian release instead of just a provincial release, and try to grow it and make it bigger than, perhaps just kind of like a local release. And I remember we were in a tough spot and didn't know how to do it correctly. And literally we went out and asked anybody that we knew with experience in the music industry to ask for their help and their advice. And that's how we kind of realized the path that we had to follow to, gather a team of people that could help us put out the record. I think it's really important to be able to ask for help and use the resources that you have around you.
That is very helpful. One of the things we're trying to do here with Citadel House and me, I'm a writer, so it's a different set of artists, but still everything's connected. And one of the things we are really trying to do is nurture the industry from the bottom up. And by the bottom, I mean the young kids, and giving them opportunities and as to grow as artists and find stages to play on and that sort of thing. So even just what you just said, is something that I will try to get the young artists around here to listen to, because that is great advice to realize that there are people out there that are happy to help, that are already in the industry working, and that it is an industry, that it's nice to sing your songs for yourself, but that you have to get out there and look at ways to bring it to the people. So I really appreciate that answer. And now you've been on tour for this album for a while, you said, and you are playing heavy tour dates. I didn't read them all, but it looks like a lot of dates.
Yeah, certainly. So we started out in Victoria, BC on the 27th of September. And it's been a wonderful tour. We have a drummer with us for the first time, and that's been really, really exciting and brings the show to a whole different level. So it's been, absolutely wonderful. We've gone across the whole country, and it's the first time as well that we've driven across the whole country. Of course, when it's just the two of us, we would normally fly the longer legs and kind of do kind of like regional touring and then fly to the next region. But with a couple other people with us, it makes more sense to drive. So it's been lots of time in the car, lots of podcasts, and certainly lots of laughs along the way.
It's a different kind of road trip. I love a good road trip. So you have 6 shows in this province, am I correct? I have Lab West. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying we're going to be doing the Arts and Culture Center starting in Lab West. And looking forward to getting up to the big landing. And we were actually just in the Torngat Mountains recently, which was a mind-blowing experience up there with Provincial Airlines and Parks Canada. So we're looking forward to getting back to Lab City. And then, we're going to do the island portion, the Arts and Culture Centers, and then we're going to get in a blanket fort for the month of December.
Just relax. December, Christmas. Just be at home.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good. I have Lab West, Grand Falls, Windsor, Gander, Stephenville, Corner Brook, and St. John's. This sounds accurate. That's wonderful. I am hoping to see you either in Grand Falls, Windsor, or Gander. Haven't got my tickets yet, but I feel like I should just get right on that now. I can't put that off. Just, one more thing on the list. I'll work my way through. Well, thank you so much for... sorry, go ahead, Catherine.
We're happy to put you on the guest list if you want to let us know where you're coming.
Hey, that'd be great. That'd be great. I have to look at the dates in my calendar, but that'd be great. I think I will probably go to Grand Falls, Windsor on the 17th. That's my likely spot. That's usually where I go to the Arts and Culture Center, although they're equal. I live in Lewisport, so I could go either direction. It's exactly 45 minutes either way. But I just generally do it's kind of handy. I get to live by the water, but then I have access to, the Gander stuff and the Grand Falls stuff in equal measure, so I feel like I'm in the middle of everything here, but I still get to live on the water and still get that great central Newfoundland weather. So best. I always plug Lewisport as the best weather in Newfoundland on the water, and I swear it is. We have sunshine on days everybody else. We have sunshine today, and I bet there's nowhere else the sun's breaking through here. So
that's perfect.
Yeah. So something cut out then. I didn't quite catch you.
I said you're trying to make us jealous.
Yeah, I am, actually. You caught me.
I mean, St. John's got the best fog in Newfoundland.
You got the best fog in Newfoundland, yeah. And I love St. John's. It's a great city. I love cities. I'm always torn because I love the energy of cities, and I love that there's stuff going on and there's music all the time, and you can just go do stuff because that's kind of my thing. But then I'm in rural Newfoundland, and I love the quiet, and I love the nature, and so I'm always so I live in rural, and I just go to town whenever I get a chance, and I'm all good. And I love a good road trip, so it all works out.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for taking your time this morning, and I will certainly be looking at coming to the show in Grand Falls, most likely, and just listening to your music for the rest of the morning. So thank you very much, and good luck with all your travels.
Thank you, and absolutely, if your audience out there need tickets, you can check them out at fortunateones.ca/shows. And we've got our friend Mo Kenny opening. She's an amazing singer-songwriter from Halifax.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar. Oh, that's a bonus. Thank you. Yeah, and we will be sharing all of the information on our social media.